has made this journey work. So here we are, the last Sunday of Advent, 3 shopping days away, coming to the conclusion of this beautiful season where we've lived expectant to celebrate the arrival of King Jesus. But Advent season is truly a season of contradictions. We talk about peace during one of the busiest, loudest, and most emotionally complicated times of year. I've had so many conversations with people about family and tensions in family and how hard it will be to spend the holidays alone or how hard it will be to spend the holidays with people. 'Tis the season. Our schedules are packed. Our finances are stretched. Our relationships feel tender. Some of us are grieving. Others are exhausted. And yet, this year, just like every December, we sing about peace on earth. This tension, this contradiction is real because if we're honest, peace sometimes feels elusive to us. Not just in this season, but maybe most especially in this season. We live in a world that talks endlessly about peace. Inner peace, world peace, peace of mind. But somehow, we are in the most anxious time as people we have ever lived. We manage stress, we mute notifications on our phone, we curate our lives, but we never really feel settled. And that's one of the reasons why we look to Isaiah 9:6. That's our theme for this Advent series when he foretells of the coming Messiah. For a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. If you have been going through the Advent readings with us, if you have been part of all the different Advent components for this season, then I hope that you have had time to lean in to the Father, to experience him in some new way as your wonderful counselor, in all of power and might as he fights for you, as he fought for you on a cross and fights for you still, as your everlasting Father who loves you, who delights in you, and as your Prince of Peace. And that's what we want to talk about today. Isaiah isn't saying that peace is an idea. He's not saying peace is a strategy. Those are all things we do. He's not even saying peace is a feeling, although it certainly can be. He says that peace has a name, and his name is Jesus. Today I thought about what we would make our central verse, and it seemed like it should be something from the Christmas story, but instead I chose John 14:25 through 27, which is the moments just before the cross. The same Jesus that came as a baby, now looking at his disciples at the end of his time on earth. And he says, "All this I have spoken while still with you. But the advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I said to you. Peace I leave you. My peace I give you. I do not give as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." I hope we can hear those words today. He spoke them to his disciples, but I believe he speaks them to us still. It is the great hope of the gospel. Here, Jesus is speaking on the night before the cross. He's speaking to these disciples whom he loves. They are anxious. They are terrified. Everything feels uncertain. Their world is unraveling. And I don't know about you, but I have been there. And Jesus does not say, don't worry, nothing bad is going to happen. That's what they want to hear. But that's not what he says to them. He couldn't in good conscience say that to him because the worst possible thing is about to happen. At least the way they see it, at least the way they understand it, at least the way they feel it. So he doesn't say, no, don't worry, nothing bad's going to happen. Don't be afraid, I've got this. Everything is going to be gravy. He says instead, I'm giving you my peace. And I feel like I've spent most of my adult Christian life asking this question, what is this peace he gives me? And I find it, and then I realize I need more of it. And I find it again, and then I realize I need more of it. And it's a perpetual journey to let that river of peace flow and let me experience it in ways that I never have before. Jesus makes this striking distinction. He says, I do not give peace, the implication here is peace, I do not give to you as the world gives, which means there is a peace that the world gives, right? But it's a fragile peace. It's a peace that depends on our circumstances. When life is predictable, when relationships are smooth, when our finances are stable, when health is good. It is the best day, I don't know about you, it is a good day if I can check all of those boxes. It is a good day. There's a lot of days when those boxes don't all get checked. So the world can offer peace, moments of peace, but it's fragile and it comes with conditions. It's the kind of peace we feel when everything is finally still, when everything is finally quiet, when everything is finally calm, when all the pieces are put together, when there's nothing else to do. If that's were the conditions, most of us would never know peace. Not really. But Jesus offers a different kind of peace. Here's the difference. The world offers calm when life is quiet, which is easy. But Jesus gives us peace when life is loud. My son when he was very young, he had a sensory integration disorder. So in the realm of neurodivergency, all the things, he's neurodivergent. And it took us so long to figure out what was happening, but he could walk in a room where there was almost no sound. I remember distinctly, I was trying to go to the gym. The first time it ever happened, I was trying to go to the gym, and they came and got me, and they're like, something's wrong. We don't really understand what's happening. And I walked in, and he was in a huge room with Dream Life Child Care Center. The most amazing things you could ever see for kids in a child care center. There was hardly any kids in the room. Everything was still in calm. And he was standing in the middle of the room with his hands over his ears, and he was screaming, "It's too loud, it's too loud, it's too loud." Oh, my mama heart broke. I did not know what to do. It felt like chaos. I felt like I did not know how to help him. I could not understand. We took him to audiologists. We're like, what is going on? There's no sound. But the loud wasn't a sound. The loud was all the things, all the pressures, all the stimuli that were around him that his brain, without the same filter that some of us have, couldn't make sense of. And at some level, we are all that little boy. We are all him, saying it's too loud. And Jesus says, I want to be your peace. The Greek word for peace used here in John 14:27, and I'm going to say it, but I just want to tell you up front that my American Southern accent does not lend itself well to Greek translation. But here we are anyway. Irene. It means all the essential parts are joined together. That's the word we translate into peace in this verse. all the essential parts are fit together. Wholeness, peace. Similarly, in Isaiah 9:6, the Hebrew word for peace that is translated there for Prince of Peace is shalom. It means wholeness, restoration, things being made right, and that is what Jesus came to do. Make things right and restore what had been broken. Neither of these words have anything to do with the absence of trouble. We even know Jesus tells us himself, in this world you will have trouble. I think I've used this example before, but my daughter called me one time. She'd been married a little while. She was raising her first kid, and she called me. She's like, Mom, I feel like I've been duped. You really lied to us. And I'm like, girl, I do not lie to you. I am brutally honest. She's like, Mom, I had no idea adulting was so hard. She said, I'm so tired. And it was a conversation then or near then, and she said, when do I get to sleep again? And I laughed, and I explained that she never would, and that the best thing she could do was just learn to live on Leslie. These words do not point to the absence of trouble, but they do speak to, at least partially, internal wholeness. It's the difference between calm water and a repaired boat. Now, we have a boat. I do not drive a boat. We would all die. But I am a passenger princess in the boat that my husband drives. And there's moments when we have been out on the river or on the lake, and it was rough. It was scary. We just have a little boat. But there's a difference between calm water and a repaired boat. You can be in calm water, but if your boat is broken, you can still sink. Jesus doesn't just calm the water, he restores what's broken underneath in us. This is why people, sometimes have you ever met people like their life seems so hard, they're going through such hard things, and somehow they seem to have this peace? I love to read biographies of people who do big, hard things. I know this is a weird concept. I know not everybody thinks this way, but I believe as people, we were built to do hard things. We were made to do hard things. We were made to take on the waves. We were meant to walk out into the ocean. We were meant to step out into the unknown. We were never built to play it safe, to be comfortable. We were meant to live in the power of Jesus for the world. But I look at people sometimes, or I read these biographies, I look at their lives, and they're going through such hard things. And yet somehow, not that they're not without worry, not that they're not without pain, not that they would say this is what they want, but somehow they carry an inner peace, a steadiness that sometimes I don't have when everything's fine. But this is how it is. Some people can suffer and struggle, but they can still know peace. And then likewise, some people can be comfortable, have everything going their way, and still be deeply restless or anxious. Because our peace, the peace that comes from Christ, is separate from circumstance. It is not connected to the chaos, the storm. It is our boat. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. Yesterday morning, was Saturday, which is usually a really great day in our house. On the best Saturdays, we don't have a ton to do. We're deprogrammed. Now, it doesn't happen very often, but yesterday was one of those days where we had lots to do, but it was at home, and I had told my husband, I'm like, all I want for tomorrow is to not leave this house. I want to not go anywhere. I want to not do anything. And so I went to bed on Friday night really looking forward to Saturday morning. This is just fully transparent. Maybe some of you can relate. Some of you will judge me. That's okay. I forgive you. So as anticipated, I woke up without an alarm on Saturday morning, got a cup of coffee, and headed out into my house to do the things. I'm on a sourdough journey. It's complicated. Within minutes, and I can't really explain this to you in a way that will make sense, but some of you will know. My poor husband. Within minutes, I was completely overstimulated and overwhelmed and anxious. The sound of the TV, the sound of voices, the dishes in the sink, the sourdough starter not performing as anticipated. The list of things that immediately started to run through my head that I needed to accomplish for the day. And what had been so expectant to be this beautiful, wonderful Saturday turned into immediate chaos. Not out here. Everything was very normal. Everyone in my house, very normal, behaving appropriately. But every single thing, the dog's claws on the floor, the sound of voices, I was so angry. And I was going to hurt someone's feelings. And so I had to retreat. I retreated to the office. I said, I'm just going to take a time out, and I'm going to stop for a minute and be in the presence of God, and to invite his peace and understanding into my head. And to be fair, my husband took everyone out of the house and stayed gone for 2 hours. So that helped. Might be why we've made it 35 years. But listen, Jesus, in this moment when he's speaking to his disciples and they're so anxious and everything's falling apart, he does not remove them from the chaos. He doesn't say, hey, why don't y'all just come with me and we'll just go on to the beautiful eternity, this peaceful, perfect forever together. No, he says, my peace I give you. And the implication is this is going to be very hard. But I will not leave you. I will send the Comforter. You can have my peace in the middle of the storm. In Isaiah 52, 7 and 10, he points us again to the coming Messiah. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring the good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns. I had to say to myself yesterday morning, I had to speak to myself, not even to someone else who was struggling. I had to speak to myself in the quiet of my office, staring at the lights of my Christmas tree, knowing that the storm that was raging had nothing to do with circumstances and had everything to do with me. And I had to say, Michelle, your God reigns. Peace, be still. The Lord will lay bare his holy arm in the sight of the nations, and all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God. This peace that Isaiah is pointing to, the salvation that Christ brings, isn't sentimental. It's internal, but it's not just internal. It's relational and it's redemptive. Sin fractured everything. We live in a decaying, broken world. As Julie pointed out today, we will never see the fullness of peace in this lifetime. But we can pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. His kingdom can be made known in our lives. And sometimes that looks like the presence of God meeting you in your quiet space, calming your internal storm. Sin fractured everything. It fractured our relationship with God, which means we could never be even though we were made in the image of God, we could never live out that image. It could never be redeemed, reconciled. He comes and let me back up. Sin fractured everything. I don't want to make it confusing. Our relationship with God, our relationship with one another, even our relationship with ourselves. 3 things. Want to remember those. Sin fractured everything. And when we talk about a lack of peace, it almost always comes back to one of these 3 things. Our relationship with God, our relationship with other people, and our relationship with ourselves. And some of you are like, how can you have a relationship with yourself? Well, I don't know about you. I'm like 15 people. Just a joke. But true. When we experience a lack of peace, we can almost always trace it back to these. Jesus is our peace because he comes to restore and make whole what is broken. Jesus doesn't ignore what's broken, he restores it. And this is essential that we understand because it affects how we live our life. We think, and I know so many people, I have been this person, I sometimes am this person. My mom was this person so much. Sometimes we think that if we just avoid it, if we just ignore the broken places, if we just ignore the trauma and the pain, if we just ignore the things, then we can curate peace. Like if I just avoid this person to the holidays, and not that we don't need to avoid some people during the holidays. And there's so many self-help books right now that are like, if they don't, bring you joy, just get rid of them. Like, bless. I'm glad that people don't do that. Well, probably some people do that to me, but we can't just ignore it. Jesus didn't come to ignore it. He came to restore it. Because restoration is the bigger thing. God always wants the bigger thing. God's economy is always for the better thing. We take the path of least resistance, but he wants such good for us, such deep and abiding wholeness for us. Paul says Christ himself is our peace, breaking down the dividing wall of hostility that separates us. Separates us from God, separates us from each other. The cross is where peace was purchased. Not by ignoring what is broken, but by absorbing the brokenness. That's why Jesus has scars. Because peace, our peace on earth and goodwill to all men cost him something. But because of that, we are no longer at enmity with God. We are no longer strangers and enemies to one another, nor do we have to live in war within ourselves. War about our expectations, what people are thinking of us. Can we do enough? Are we good enough? Are we right enough? Are we wealthy enough? Are we successful enough? Are we pretty enough? Are we thin enough? Peace isn't pretending that our differences don't exist. It's choosing love. It's choosing love in the presence of our differences. So sin fractured everything. Christ, the Prince of Peace, came to bring restoration and healing first, between us and Him so that we can live in the fullness of the image of Him we were made in, so we can be filled with the Spirit of the living God that empowers us and brings us peace and purpose. And also so that we could know who we are in Him, so that we can find peace and safety and confidence within ourselves to know that I am not less because of how I look compared to anyone else, or how successful I am compared to anyone else, or whatever measure the world has. Whatever measure the world has. Middle schoolers, if you're in this room, hear this. Not a single person that you go to school with gets to decide if you're good enough, successful enough, pretty enough, smart enough, whatever enough. Not a single one. Your Father said that, and He already said you're enough. College students, moms who are trying to outdo the mom next door, who think they can never be enough, do enough, dads who think you can never provide enough, and I don't want to just use stereotypes, whatever that looks like. He came to bring us peace and to get rid of that war within ourselves. And He came so that we could live in relationship with one another in love. But it does not stop with us. Look at what Isaiah said in verse 7. He said, "How beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news." What good news are you bringing to the world today? If Jesus is the Prince of Peace, then His people are meant to carry His peace into the world. His peace is not just something we receive, we do, but it's something we carry out into our world. Paul uses specific language. It's a diplomacy language when he says, "We are therefore Christ's ambassadors." An ambassador represents the heart and the authority of another kingdom. So if I am the American ambassador to Kenya, I carry the interest, the mission, the heart, and the authority of America into Kenya, or France, or England, or wherever I go. So if we are His ambassadors, then we are bearers of peace to the world. We are peace bearers. When we put on our marquee out there, peace and goodwill to all men, all people, you know how that happens? Like that song we sang this morning, that our heart hurts because it seems like there is no peace on earth. It starts with us, in us. And then if we let it, we carry it into our world. Peace on earth came with Jesus, and He made a way for us to carry the kingdom into the world. We don't have to win every argument. We don't. Tell yourself this before Christmas dinner. Write these down. Checklist. Put them somewhere where you can look at them when you feel like things might go south. Siblings. Dan, could you send this to all our children? We don't have to win every argument. Repeat after me. We don't have to win every argument. Look at there. I didn't think you'd really do it. We don't have to escalate every conflict. Good job. You don't have to repeat this one, but let it sink in. We do not have to mirror the anxiety of the world. I don't know about your algorithm on social media, mine is chaotic. And if I spend 5 minutes on social media, I'm like, the world is chaos. Things are falling apart. People are full of hate. What is wrong with the world? I don't have to mirror that. That does not have to be my internal climate. I do not have to carry that into my conversations with my husband or with my children, into my family or in my workplace. I do not. I do not have to believe the algorithms that are intentionally try to tear us apart. In the same way that Christ's presence brings us peace, we get to be a different presence in the world around us. I'm almost done. I debated, Cameron, are you ready? I debated whether or not to show this. Some of you will think this is boring. Take a nap. But for those of you who like history, you might find this interesting. You probably already know about it. But in World War I, set in the midst of trench warfare on Christmas Eve, these soldiers experienced the supernatural power of peace in the world. And it's a beautiful story. We're going to play just a little teeny bit of a long video, so don't panic when you see like 12 minutes. We're looking at like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. But it's such an interesting story, one that people have since tried to explain away.